Hey everybody, welcome to
Hey,
Don't Worry Wednesday. How you guys doing? You guys look good.
yo, thank you, and you too.
Oh, thanks Ryan. You look fantastic. I got to tell you what.
No,
Hey, so
no.
just a little heads up, we're maybe having some internet issues tonight. So if the stream like stops and like we have to start it again, then that's just kind of what happens cuz internet be that way sometimes, right? We ran into some difficulties setting up the show, and I'm like, oh, my internet went out, and then Ryan froze, and then I was like, oh man, I don't know.
hmm
We're gonna see. Yes, thank you, Trigger Rich. It is what it is, and I also learned it's not what it's not.
Yeah, and you can also say, uh, wait, it's what it's, which
It's
is one I
what
like.
it's.
It's what it's,
It's what
which
it's.
is, it
It's
is
totally.
literally, it is what it is, but that doesn't sound right at all.
It
It's what
doesn't.
it's,
It's what it's. But
not what's not.
it's not. Exactly.
It's
So
not what's
anyway,
not.
yes, welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. This is our show we do on Wednesday, and it's all about you guys. We talk about stuff that's on your mind, stuff that you might be going through, anything that might be a challenge, or anything you'd just like to hear us talk about. You can go to don'tworrywednesday.com. You can click the submit a topic button, and then a little form will come out, and, whoosh, and then you'll
Slap
get
you in the face.
it'll slap you right in the face. Yes, exactly. Um,
Ooh, that's not good. That shouldn't have. If that happens, contact Jesse. He's our IT guy.
yes, exactly. Let me. You know what? Let me see if I can get the link put in here for you.
Hmm.
Scrolling, 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 scrolling. Here we go.
HTTPS colon forward slash don't
Boom,
worry what
boom.
oh,
There it is.
you got it.
Yeah.
You got it before I could type it.
Yep. So you can go to don'tworrywednesday.com and you can click the submit a topic button and you can, fill out your topic. Make sure that you let them know that you're a human. Let them know, like, and then when there's a caption thing that'll come up, and the DWW has to be all capital letters. I think we spelled it out pretty clearly in there, but sometimes we still run into issues. So it could be that sometimes topics are a little long, and I don't know if there's a character limit there or what.
Hmm.
Maybe we tried to make it big, I think, but then even still, sometimes topics just get a little bit long. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so we are not professionals. We're not professional counselors or therapists or anything like that. We're not policemen or attorneys or whatever. So, like, if you have some kind of an issue and we're talking about it, we're not a substitute for professional advice. And so we might be able to offer you some perspective. We might be able to offer you some pointers on what you should do next. But a lot of times, especially the more complicated an issue gets, you may want to seek a professional, whatever
Mm-hmm.
state that, whether it's a therapist or a doctor or or an attorney or whatever, because we've run into all kinds of issues on this channel. Now, here's the thing: Ryan and I have both been through a lot of stuff in our lives, and so we can draw on that experience and help point you in the right direction, hopefully. But ultimately, we're not a substitute for professional advice. So, anyway, with that in mind, go to don'tworrywednesday.com, click the submit a topic button, and we'd be happy to discuss the issue. But mainly, what we want to do is be your friend. We want to help in any
Mm-hmm.
way we possibly can. We want to offer encouragement and love and support and all that stuff. Like that's really our wheelhouse and what we're trying to do. When I first started seeing my therapist, one of the first questions she asked me was, who's your support group? Who are your friends? Who are, like, and
Mm-hmm.
she had me list off these people because she's like, we're gonna meet once a week for an hour, but then the rest of the time you're going to be on your own out there, and it's good to have some support. And so we do this little show for 2 hours every week, and hopefully we can offer some help. So anyway, yeah, I think that's the legal mumbo jumbo that got to be gone
Nice.
through. So
Mm-hmm. Done
Yeah.
great. Great job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Hmm.
I've practiced.
Yeah,
I've
well,
I've done this before,
it's clear.
you know.
Yeah, for sure. It's just like a professional. I mean, it's so good.
I'm a professional
You're a
mouth
professional
speaker.
disclaimer. Yeah, you're
I'm
not
a
a
professional
professional.
disclaimer.
Yeah, you're not a profession. Yeah, a disclaimer. You're not a professional psychologist, psychiatrist, or anything like that. But you are a professional at saying you're not one of those.
Yeah. Yes.
Because
Absolutely.
I don't know. Yeah, you get paid to say that.
In a way, yeah, it's true.
In a way, in a roundabout way, you get paid to say that.
All roundy round,
So that
and
makes you a professional.
hey, you're my boss and I'm your boss and Steve's both of our bosses, but we're both
That's
Steve's
right.
boss. So
Yeah,
it's
we
like
told Steve that he's our boss.
that's funny.
That's how it goes.
In our company, our company president is Steve. He's really awesome, right? But I think we voted him president when he was not at the meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't there, and we're just like, well, yeah, he was
Ryan's
not
like, hey, I got a great idea. Let's make Steve the president because he's like the guy who's willing to go, above and beyond and have the uncomfortable conversations and make the other
Mm-hmm.
person feel uncomfortable. He's willing to do that. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of us are
He's willing
kind
to
of
do
like,
that.
we just want to be nice. We want to be friendly. We want everything. But somebody's got to step in once in a while and like twist the knife a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
for sure.
he does that. And so we're like, hey, you be our president. We'll tell you what to tell us what to do.
I'll tell you what to tell us. And then once you know what we want to hear, then you can,
Yeah.
move your knife around
Then
with
you
that with that.
hold the line on us, right? Like that's
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So anyway, so welcome everybody. You guys are awesome. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so glad to be here with Ryan. This is the second week we've been able to do this in a row together. Uh,
Yeah, oh my gosh. It's
which
been
is
crazy months.
yeah, I
Crazy
know.
couple of months.
Like I was gone and then Ryan was gone and when we brought the community in and that was great and we want to talk to you guys a little bit about doing that again and doing it some more because it was really
Hmm.
nice to have you guys' perspectives on things and everybody here is so awesome. So
Hmm.
yeah, I feel like we'd like to do more of that. So you can
Yeah, we'd like
reach.
to see. Yeah,
Go ahead.
go on. I'm just saying, yeah, I'd like to see more of that.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, thanks, Clint. You're awesome too. And Kendra, enjoy your
You're awesome.
spaghetti.
Yeah,
Spaghetti's good.
enjoy. Dang, that sounds great. I want
Spaghetti's the
spaghetti.
best without sauce.
If you can you eat spaghetti for breakfast?
Yeah, you can eat anything for breakfast. Watch the movie
Okay.
Elf. He made spaghetti, and then he put like M&Ms and
Maple
candy
s-
corns and maple syrup and everything
maple
else.
syrup. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I breakfast spaghetti. Breakfast spaghetti.
Breakfast
Sounds
spaghetti.
great. It's a
So
breakfast
great.
spaghetti.
So great. Yeah, so Baca Community Fridays, that I would love to do that every other Friday, though I would not be available. At least at this point, because I have parenting time with my two kids, and I have them every other weekend starting Friday evenings. So yeah, so I would be at like 50% of those. So I don't know. We'll come up with something. And yeah, if there's a demand for it, if you guys want us to do it, we'd love to talk about it. So you can reach out to us on Discord. If you want to talk
Mhm.
to us, or you can email us at dww@bss.studio. Excuse me.
Mhm.
Let me see if I can get that link. Maybe it'd just be easier to type that. Um, um, yeah, I don't see a link in my link list of links.
Oh man.
Yeah. Free for all Fridays. Yeah, free for all Fridays were fun. That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. So you can
It
DWW
was a while ago. Too bad we don't
at
do this anymore. I mean,
BSS
we've
dot
been so
studio.
all over the place with work and stuff. It's been hard to get things together to do more than just Don't Worry Wednesday, but we would like to.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about it for a while now, and one of them we're just kind of waiting on the trigger a little bit. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
We would like to spend more time with you guys. You guys are awesome, and
mhm,
like if like this is one of my favorite times of the week. Is to spend with
me
you
too.
guys and hang out, and you guys in the chat are so awesome, and we'd figure something out. But anyway, yeah, you can email us there, dww at bss.studio. You can let's see, you can reach out on Discord. I am at plebnub. Let's see if I can get this right. At plebnub. That's me on Discord, and I think Ryan is at static p with no hyphen.
Correct. Yeah, you got it. Nailed it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, welcome, Clint. It's great to have you. First time on Don't Worry Wednesday. So yeah, so if you'll
Yeah.
notice we get derailed and we go on all kinds of tangents and stuff, and we have a good time. And then somebody in the chat
Mm-hmm.
says, "Hey, you guys are derailed. Like get back on track." And then
Yeah.
we're like, "Okay." And then we derail 5 seconds later, and you know,
Yeah.
it's super fun. Excuse me. But all right, well, what do you say? We should jump into a topic, don't you think?
Yeah, I just have one side rail on top of this because it's right along the vein that you were talking
Hmm.
about with community. The last like couple of months have been crazy for us with scheduling, and so we started to have you guys jump on board in our calls during Don't Worry Wednesdays, and we were wondering if we could get like a sort of census or a sort of um, you know, I don't know, a message or something about what you guys felt about that, how it was as a viewer,
Mm-hmm.
um, if you enjoyed that, some compare and contrast, some pros and cons that you guys experienced personally. For those of you who happen to watch the last several episodes where we have done that, where we've had people on besides just Joe and I,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd just like to know what your thoughts were, um, and to be detailed if you can be, because we'd like to maybe make that a part of the show potentially, maybe in light. Um, have like maybe one person come on or whatever. We're willing to change things up to make this a better show for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to do that. And we're excited to have more people on the show other than just us. But we want to do it in a way that makes the best sense. So if you guys have any suggestions for how we could do that in a way that you would find it tasteful, that'd be awesome. Feel free to, yeah, write it down in the chat here and also to private message us with more detailed format if you have some ideas or thoughts that you would want to go into more detail about.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you. And thank you, Kendra, Yansai, and Baka already. So thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. And
All right.
Clint,
Sorry.
it's all voluntary. Like we're not going to strong
Yeah.
arm you into joining us on the call or anything like that. Like
Yeah. We just asked who wanted to join and some people joined. That's it.
Yep. Yep.
As simple as that.
And it was fun. And we've got, hey, Kendra loved it. Neonsai says it was nice to include the community, and Baka says it was a good mix of perspectives. And yeah, um, yep. Remember the tangent on what is the best type of bread? Yes, that was a fun tangent. Um, or wait, was that you that was there and I wasn't there? Maybe I just watched it.
I
I
don't
don't
remember.
remember. I don't remember.
I don't
I remember, but I
remember.
remember
I'm
that coming
sorry.
up. I just don't remember if I was participating or if I just watched it later because I was gone for the show.
I I experience that too. Sometimes I'll like read a topic and I'm like, "Oh, we did this one." No, wait, we didn't. No, I read this topic. I read this topic one time and now I think I did it. Ugh,
Yeah.
it's hard to keep things straight sometimes. I'm glad that we have it on a sheet
Mm-hmm. Yep.
that tells us.
And Baka believes it was me. I believe you.
Mm, there we go.
So hey, perfect. It was me then. So Awesome. All right. Well, let's jump in. We've got some topics here. We've got one that's fairly urgent from Sparrow. Sparrow is not gonna. I don't know if Sparrow's with us or not, but there was no preference on whether they were going to be able to attend or not. But this is definitely an
Mm,
important one. This it's called "Cheated On," and just the title alone
mm,
already, like that just already stirs up some stuff in my brain and in my heart
yeah.
and in my gut and everything, right? So, but we'll start with this one and we'll do our best to tackle it. Um, so let's see. Let
Yeah.
me get all my stuff around, and what I can do
Oh,
is,
cool.
huh?
I just messaged Sparrow and he said he's gonna be right here. He's gonna
Oh,
he's gonna jump on.
oh, cool.
Yeah, I just let him know that we were gonna do the topic and he said, "Oh, I'll be right there."
All right. Well, good. So yeah,
Yeah.
well, I guess what I'll do is I'll get the topic up here on the screen, and then we can read it. I don't know if Sparrow necessarily needs to be here while we read the topic. Um, I mean, we could. Hey, Sparrow's here, so now we can do it. Welcome, Sparrow, and thank you for
Hmm.
this topic. And I'm sorry that you're going through this. This
Yeah.
sounds like a really tough situation. And so what I'm
Yeah.
going to do, I'll get the topic up on the screen, and I'll read it aloud, and you guys can read along. So here it is. This is called Cheated On, and it's from Sparrow. And it goes like this. I just found out that my girlfriend was cheating on me with my best friend. I'm so hurt, but I don't know how I should approach her to end it. This needs to end soon. Sparrow. Wow, Sparrow. Thank
Man, that would
you.
hurt so much.
Thank you for the topic. Thank you for sharing. I know it's tough. I know that,
Hmm.
man, this type of situation is really really hard to deal with. It strikes you right at your core. There's a reason in the Bible that one of the commandments is thou shalt not commit adultery, because what it does is it hurts everybody. Everybody gets hurt
Mm.
in that situation, and it's so painful, whatever kind of cheating it is. So anyway, um, man, I'm sorry, and I thank you for being willing to share. But I know that I've been in this situation before. I've witnessed friends of mine be in this situation before, um, and I know that it just hurts, and it hurts to watch people go through it. One of my best friends went through this, and they were married, and then they got divorced, and then it came out after the divorce that she had been cheating on him for a couple years, and it threw him for a massive loop. And even after the divorce was all said and done and finalized and everything like that, that's when it came out. And he's still, man, he had to struggle through all of that. And it's crazy because then it's like, okay, well, how do I believe anything you say now?
Mm.
Right? Like, and
Yeah.
it's so funny because she had blamed him for the dissolution of the marriage, for the marriage falling apart. She had blamed him, and he told me about this, and I was like, well, look, she can't say that ever again. I mean, she can say whatever she wants. She can, like, you know, throw whatever words out into the cosmos she wants to, right? But like that is absolutely an untrue statement. When someone has done that, it's like, okay, you can't blame the other person for the relationship falling apart when you went and did that, right?
Mm.
So like, yeah, there's so much,
Mm.
and it creates so much drama and so much pain. And I'm so sorry, Sparrow. So what I'm gonna do is, since I'm the mean person on Don't Worry Wednesday, I'm going to give it over to Ryan so he can be nice to you. And um,
You're the mean person on Don't Worry Wednesday, but Don't Worry Wednesday doesn't have any mean people, so you're still actually just nice.
oh, all right, cool. Well, compared to
You just
you,
happen to be the
I'm
meanest,
the
which is
mean
not
one.
really that mean.
All right.
It's like good cop, bad cop, but the bad cop's just like, hey guys, I'm just a little meaner sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Good cop and good
Um,
cop. Aw.
yeah. It's like good cop and kind of good cop.
Good cop and gooder cop, right? Like,
Yeah, good cop and good cop. Yeah.
so I'm going to turn it over to the
All
gooder
right.
cop, which would
Oh,
be
great.
Ryan. And
All
yeah,
right.
so Ryan, take it away.
Okay. Well, Sparrow, I remember when I read this topic immediately, I was just like, ouch. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Like I said it out loud. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, Sparrow. That's really sucky. And you said one thing did change about this situation. I did cut it off a few days ago, and I'm currently going through some grief and I'm struggling. Yeah, I get it. The first thing that I want to say right off the bat is it's not your fault. And that's important to hear. And I think you already know
Mm-hmm.
that's true. But a lot of people need to hear that. And it's true. It's not your fault. Because you can be the best man or woman or whatever in a relationship possible. You could be literally perfect. It Someone can still cheat on you because it's their choice to make. And it hurts because obviously, you trusted this person, you put your time and love into this person, you invested into them, and you opened yourself up to become vulnerable to them and let them be not just a part of your life, but something that helps to form the path of your life moving forward. And then the person, betrays you in a very, very horrible way. And it's important to know that it's not your fault. You don't get to make the decision. You didn't make the decision, right? Your girlfriend made that decision, or your ex-girlfriend at this point now, right? She decided that she would let her desires get the best of her and go after someone else. Now, here's the thing. This is one of the things that separate us from the rest of the animal kingdom, which is weird that I'm bringing that into this, but other animals aren't called to be something higher. They don't have sense of morals and dignity, generally speaking. As humans, we make promises and you know, we we invest our lives into each other in a way that um if someone cheats on us, if someone goes and does, things that they should only do with us, with somebody else, it betrays that humanness.
Mm.
It's why we call it being an animal, right? You're being animalistic when you're just going after your desires, your base desires, right?
Mm-hmm.
It shows a lack of, well, integrity, shows a lack of character, shows a lack of honesty, shows a lack of what we're called to be as human beings. We've built up as human beings over a long period of time, thousands of years, this ability to know and do what's right. But at times, our animal instinct, our desires, our base desires for pleasure, for, you know, I guess anything, for self gain, but generally, obviously, in this case, pleasure, um, or lust or whatever. Sometimes we can fall back into that animalistic nature, and the thing you have to remember is you didn't make that choice for her.
Mm-hmm.
She probably didn't make the choice to be attracted to another person. But when she was faced with it, she made a bad decision,
Mm-hmm.
right? And these are things that you know. I'm just talking about it because it helps to heal when it's just spoken out about how, plain as day, how things are. And so that's why I'm hoping to help you a little bit here, because you said, you're struggling with it still. And that's understandable. That I would expect everybody in the world to be, if they were in your position, would be struggling as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so don't, obviously don't feel like you're weak. You're not weak. It's actually a strength to feel this pain because it means that you cared. It means that you had a good heart. It means that you were honest in your side of this, the whole side of the deal. You were honest and wanted things to work and so on and so forth. That's all very good and strong in human nature, like strong in doing what's right, doing what's dignified, doing what's good. And, you were betrayed, but you did nothing wrong. So that's important to know. It's important to work that out and recognize, okay, it wasn't because I wasn't attractive enough. There we go.
Mm.
It wasn't because I wasn't attractive enough. It wasn't because I wasn't smart enough. It wasn't because I wasn't attentive enough. It wasn't because I didn't show enough affection. It wasn't because I blah blah blah. Because there's going to be a lot of things, potentially. I've heard a lot of people go through this and they blame themselves for, I wasn't a good enough boyfriend. I wasn't a good enough girlfriend. I should have been doing this, or clearly I'm not attractive to them. That's why they cheated on me. They felt like they had to go do XYZ with another person because I wasn't able to fulfill that for them. I wasn't able to, whatever. And that's silly. Because the truth of the matter is, I mean, especially if we're talking about with something like lust, for example. Lust, by the way, can be anything where you take advantage of another person for your own gain without concern for their well-being in life,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So it can be very broad, but if you're dealing with someone who has an issue with lust, it doesn't matter how perfect you are in meeting their needs. Because here's the thing, if they have a problem with lust, you meeting their needs is not going to solve that problem. Because you can find a kid on the street, well, okay, don't find a kid on the street. You can come to any kid and give them candy, and they'll be satisfied that you gave them candy. But giving them candy will only, in the end, make them want to eat more candy somewhere else later,
Mm.
right? You know, if you're the dad and give them candy, soon enough they're going to be asking their mom for candy too, and then their
Mm.
brothers and sisters for candy, right? They're going to be asking for more and more candy. It's the same thing with your relationships. The idea that you are enough to satiate someone's lust is absolutely backwards. It's ridiculous to think something like that.
Mm.
And we don't think about that, obviously. We don't generally think about that sort of concept, but it's true. You could never satiate someone's lust. Lust is a problem within that has to be solved. It's not something that oh, I was enough for them, and so they stopped being lustful. That's not how it works. It's like they're going to be lustful, and you're never going to be enough if they are. And that applies to anybody.
Mm.
That even applies to you or me. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm lustful, my lust doesn't get satiated because someone comes into my life that's very um, generous and gives me a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're, the best thing that could happen for me is they come into my life and they are a really good example of someone who's not lustful, and that rubs off on me. But generally speaking, that's still my problem to solve, right? And so it is with your ex-girlfriend. It has nothing to do with how good or bad you were as someone who is giving themselves over for the sake of love for that person. It has nothing to do with your attributes or how good you performed in your day-to-day acts of love. It has nothing to do with how attractive you are. It has nothing to do with your income. It has nothing to do with any of that because it's a personal issue with the person. I had my mom got cheated on by my stepdad, my ex-stepdad, many years ago. And I remember when I was a kid, I ended up, well, okay, so I remember when I was a kid, I walked into their bedroom when they weren't home, and I was looking for a flashlight. So I was like, where would they keep a flashlight? I opened up a cupboard to find a flashlight, and there was a ton of porn magazines.
Mm.
Okay. And it was probably 2 years later um, that he got caught cheating. But during those 2 years, he accused my brother of watching porn on his computer, and he used this website name that my brother was like, I don't even know what that website is. I've never heard of that website. He just pulled that out of his own repertoire of porn websites.
Mm.
And so on and so forth. The problem wasn't my mom not being good enough. The problem was him. He had a problem with porn, problem with lust, problem with, his animalistic desires.
Mm.
And so he fell short on them eventually. They overtook him because he never snuffed them out completely. Because he didn't. He never made the full effort to snuff them out. And eventually they won him over. And he ended up cheating on my wife, or my mom cheating on his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And then it wasn't long after they got a divorce, and life moved on. It was very hard. My mom went through a phase of depression for a long period of time, couple of years. It was very rough for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to let you know that it's not you. It's not that you did something wrong. You're an awesome person. You aren't the one that should be taking responsibility and blame for this.
Mm-hmm.
So don't beat yourself up. And if someone betrays you, that's on them. And that's just the full of it. That's on them. It's not on you. You did nothing wrong. What sucks is, yeah, I understand you spent time and it feels like it was all for nothing because now it's over. But that's not true. In that time, you got to practice using your heart. In that time that you spent on this individual, you got practice using your heart, even to the point of being betrayed. And I know that's hard and harsh, but love isn't about. It's one of the most amazing things about love is that love is always about the end game because it builds infinitely
Mm.
and it builds upon itself. And when you use love, you don't lose it. It just builds stronger. And so even when you are betrayed by the people that you love, they can't take love away from you. And your heart gains more strength. And if you can get up and continue to love beyond this, if you can be cheated on, if you can be betrayed, and you can afterwards get up and decide to love again, then you've built in yourself a heart that is the opposite of animalistic. You've built in yourself a heart that is very strong and very good, and something that we should all attest to, or we should all, sorry, not attest to, we should all aspire to.
Mm.
Because to love a lot of times means to make it means to do things that you don't care to do because they have nothing to do with you. They have something to do with someone else for their benefit. And when you're willing to go to hell and back And that's kind of what it's like to be betrayed here. That says a lot about you. So I would encourage you to get up and don't stop acting out in love. And I don't mean love romantically. It doesn't have to be. I just mean love in general.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I was gonna jump in.
Yeah, fair enough. Just in general, to love even to love doing things, certain activities can be filled with passion, and a passion is a type of love. So it's okay if you want to take a break from romance. That's great. That's normal. Um, I I would not be surprised at all if you're like, I'm just gonna take a break from romance for a while. That's totally understandable. Um, but don't let the fact that you could be betrayed make you build a wall that you're afraid of being betrayed by everybody else as well. Because you know that that would be self-destructive. I know that you know that. So I know that it hurt. Obviously, it hurts a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But don't let the pain give you an excuse to build a wall or an excuse to stop loving because you think, well, I loved before. I put my time and energy and my whole heart and soul into this person, and look where it got me. You know, in the end, that's what love gets you. It gets you that. That's sucky. That's not true though, because there are so many instances in your life where love gets you forward, moves you forward. And just like Beyonce said, it wasn't love that was a problem. Love was never the problem. Love did not cause this to happen.
It was
Love was you
romance.
doing the right thing.
Sorry.
Love is you doing the right thing. It was lust which destroyed your relationship. So if you have a problem with anything, it should not be love, and you should not withhold yourself from loving. If you have a problem with anything, it should be lust. And you should, I mean, it's a great time to check your own heart and kill it. You know, if you see it in there, if you see lust in your heart somewhere, you can use this as a strengthening trial to go, you know what? I've felt what lust feels like now from the other side. Not doing that anymore. I'm not going to put anyone else through that. That sucks. So, yeah, don't give up on love. Hate the real enemy, and the enemy is lust, not love.
Mm.
Love is love is a great thing. And yeah, Beyonce said it best. Love was never the problem. Love did not cause this to happen. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, I am going to step out of Joe's way here. I know he's
Dangerous,
got probably a lot on his mind.
dangerous
Um,
thing for you to do.
yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Kendra, you
Well,
missed it. You missed the most inspiring and wonderful.
she can rewind. Thank, yeah. Thank you, August Stars. Yeah, I think that is true and potentially profound, you know, to practice, you know, you go through a relationship and it ends, but you did have time practicing using your heart. And that's no one can take that away from you, and that's very good and very important, and it's part of like the main reason we're here. So it's great. But anyhow, yeah, Joe, take it away.
I'll take it somewhere. We'll see what happens.
He'll take it away.
I will take it away. No, I would go back and re-listen to what Ryan said. He's absolutely right. You know, the fact that this is not your fault, that love is not the problem, lust is the problem. These are true statements. And to be betrayed by people that you love is a really, really heart-wrenching thing. And it's interesting because, you know, you go through this kind of thing. What did you say, Sparrow? You said, I used to think the 7 stages of grief was a myth, but it's very real. And Baca says, with the 7 stages, they never have an order or a length. They snap into phases at random. And both those statements are so true. Like, we kind of go through these stages, and I don't know exactly what they are. I can't recall. But I know that anger is one of them. I know that depression or disappointment, or, like, and grief, crying, and, like, denial. There's all kinds of stuff that we go through in this. And, some of these wounds that need to heal, one of the major components to healing is time. And I know that is tough because, we need that time to grow. We need that time to experience. And I think one of the best things you can do, this you'll have to do this at your own pace. You'll have to do this on your own schedule, but dive into it. That pain that you're experiencing, the grief, whatever stage you're in, dive in. It takes a lot of courage, but like I kind of picture myself as like a pig in mud or whatever, and I just like dive in and like get all over me and just like roll around in it and try and experience it as fully as I can, because what Ryan's talking about is absolutely true. This is practice in using your heart. One of the things about our hearts is they get broken. And when our hearts get broken, we learn a lot about ourselves. We learn a lot about other people. We learn a lot about the way things are. And we start to seek truth in a lot of different areas. And Ryan gave you a lot of truth, because I know the tendency is going to be to blame yourself. The tendency is going to be that, to feel like you weren't good enough, or something you did wasn't good enough, or, something to that effect, where, I know that I blamed myself when it happened to me years and years and years ago. Now, I just got, I got divorced like a year ago. It was final. And there was no infidelity in our marriage, that I know of. So we didn't have that to deal with. Our divorce was totally on different. There was a lot of different issues that happened that brought that. It wasn't the infidelity that caused that to break, but it was still very heart wrenching. And here's the thing, like, I don't know, some of this stuff you might not be ready for, but I'm going to say a few things for you to ponder. And one of them is, what if you would have ended up staying with this person? If you had never found out, and then you stayed with them, or, it happened once or whatever, and then you never found out, and then, she never did it again, but it was there in the back of her mind the whole time. And what happened is, the breach of trust didn't happen when you found out. The breach of trust happened when the affair occurred, or the cheating occurred, right? That was when the breach of trust happened. And, like, all of us are faced with temptation from all angles, all the time. We're tempted to do things. We're tempted to go down a road where it's like, okay, do I follow this path of lust? Do I follow the path of, being strong against it? All these kinds of different things. Do I follow the path of commitment, or what? It can be really, really hard to discern, and it can be really, really hard as we try to justify what happens. And here's the thing, like, I don't know how the exchange went with your ex, but I don't know. I've experienced it a lot where, somebody cheats on another person, and then the person who did the cheating blames the person they cheated on.
Oh yeah, that's horrible.
They blame them. Oh, you drove me into the arms of another man, or you blah, 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 all this kind of stuff, right? It's like, man, it's garbage. But the thing about it is we all face those temptations. We all face those attractions. We all face all of it, right? And our choices make the difference. You know, do we choose to make good on our commitments, or do we choose to follow the temptation? And Sparrow, you are not alone by any means at all. In fact, I remember there was this big to-do years ago about this website that was put up specifically for married people to find other married people that they could have discreet affairs with. I don't remember the name of this website. Probably okay, you know, I don't need to remember. But either way, I remember
Yeah.
I remember the thing happening and all this stuff, and it was hugely popular. There were so many members on this site. There were millions and millions of people that were members on this site. And it was married people seeking other married people to have affairs with. So like this is packed into our culture. We have a very, very sexualized culture. And I mean, I don't know the extent. Oh, you said that's happening right now. That's crazy. What's happening right now? She's blaming you?
I'm assuming, yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what he said.
Sparrow says, I'm in my last year of high school right now, and everyone is pretty much on my side right now. Okay. And you know, they're right. Okay, yeah, that's what you mean. Okay, yeah. So the person does the thing, does the damage, and then blames you for it. Right? And it's
Typical.
just a way for her to justify what she did. So in her mind, she can feel better about it, even though it was wrong and she knows it. You know, our minds don't like to admit that we're wrong. Our minds don't like to go there. We like to have justification for it. And so that's what is happening here. And it doesn't matter. No matter how you slice it, it was a wrong thing to do. There is no justification for it. It was wrong.
There's never a right time to do something like that.
No, not at all. Not at all. I had a friend of mine years ago when I was in a band. I've been in lots of bands, but this one band I had a guitar player who was kind of he was a guitar player and he was also a player,
Uh-huh.
right?
Hmm.
And his justification for, you know, he didn't have a girlfriend, but he was getting with girls that had boyfriends. And I remember asking him about that, and his justification in his mind was, well, if their relationship is that bad that she's seeking something else, then it's like my duty to provide that because the relationship needs to end. I'm like, dude, no. That's not, you're not providing a service. like it's crazy, but you know, our brains will come up with any excuse in the book for bad behavior. That's why courts exist. Somebody does something wrong and then, you know, like somebody's got to justify it, and so like then it's your word against theirs or whatever, and so then it just becomes this big old mess, and it's crazy, man. So I could go like if you'd have brought this topic a year ago and had me talk about it, I'd have been a mess, man. I'd have probably been crying off camera, all kinds of stuff, because it's just, to me, it was all just romantic nonsense. Like, I'm still not on the greatest terms with romance, but I'm warming up. I'm getting over it, right? Ryan gave me the thumbs up. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, you're welcome. Proud of you, man. Proud of you.
But either way, Sparrow, I am so sorry. So what next? Thank you, Neonsai. What next? Well, you're going to have some opportunities. You've got opportunities to do some major discovery of how you operate, of how your heart works. This is not an easy time, but it can be very, very fruitful. And it won't seem like it as you go through it. It won't seem like you experiencing this pain is building you at all, but it is. Ryan said, don't close yourself off to love. And I agree. I say that as a person who kind of has closed themselves off. It's not a good place, right? In fact, just earlier today, before I even saw your topic or anything, I was thinking, and I'm in my head. There's been a lot of soul searching and a lot of introspection and a lot of fighting and arguing with myself, fighting and arguing with God, fighting and arguing with life in general and all kinds of stuff, right? And I sat there and I'm like, it'd be funny. It'd be really, really funny and just hilarious as if I got like accounts on all these dating websites like Tinder, Bumble, whatever the heck they all are, and just got on there just to tell girls to screw off.
That's horrible, dude.
It is horrible. I'm not going to do that, right? But it's just kind of a funny thought, but it's a temptation. We all get tempted with stuff, and this was no exception. Neonsai says it right. You will be so much stronger after this. That is so true. You will be stronger after this. Now, you might go through a time period of building up a wall, and you might have to then figure out how to tear that down. You might go through a time period of depression, and you might need to find a therapist. That's definitely a possibility. In fact, I wouldn't fault you one bit for going and trying to find a therapist, somebody you can talk to that's a professional, because as you go through these stages of grief, it helps to have someone not connected to the situation that understands how the human mind works, that can point you in directions on where to go. Now, sometimes you have trusted family or friends that can do that, but even then, I caution you, because a friend or family member that knows you is going to give you biased advice. It's biased in your favor, right? So it's going to feel really good. Or, well, I guess depending on the family or family member or friend, maybe it's biased not in your favor. I've experienced friends like that too. They're called not real friends. But I don't know. You'll probably learn to see the signs in the future. Now that this has happened to you, you'll understand how you are. You'll understand what kinds of things you will accept, what kinds of behavior you will and will not accept from people, whether they're romantic partners or just friends, right? These kinds of experiences have a way of deepening our hearts. It's so weird because we get stabbed and we get broken. And what that does is that opens up a new area for our heart to grow into. And it takes time to do it. It's painful. And it's not easy. And it helps to have help. So, I would definitely recommend the idea of finding a therapist. Nyansai. Well, let's go up a little bit. Kendra says, it may hurt now, but you'll be happy again. Maybe not right now, but eventually you will be happy and you will be stronger. Yes, that is very, very true. It might take some time. It might take a long time, to work through. And these are moments to have grace with yourself, to have patience with yourself, to allow yourself to feel even the pain, because you will grow. Nyansai says it's important not to clump all women together. This was a person who did you wrong, not because she was a female, but because she was a person who made a bad decision. Yep.
Absolutely true.
Very true, because there are just as many guys that do this kind of stuff as women that do this kind of stuff, right? It's not gender specific. It's a human thing, right?
It's an animal thing.
Well, I guess humans as
are
animals are animalistic. Humanism,
Yep, exactly.
whatever, right?
Yep.
So
it's in our nature.
It is, and
to some degree.
And I will also say it's human nature to not take Nyansai's advice and clump all women into that basket. I've
met a couple of guys that have done that.
Really? Who?
You, another guy named Link, another guy. There's quite a few.
Yep. And what Nyansai is saying is true. A lot of people tend to want to blame something, a group or a trait, or themselves to avoid these kinds of situations in the future. That's very true. That's building a wall. That's, trying to safeguard ourselves. Now, here's the thing. My therapist told me, building a wall around your heart is not a good thing because it closes you off from experiencing life, right?
Right.
It absolutely does. But it's okay to put up some guardrails. It's okay to keep your eyes open and have some guardrails in place so it's okay. Okay, I trust you, but when I start to see certain kinds of behavior, we're going to have to address it. Right? Because that's that's protecting yourself. There's a big difference though. Go ahead.
I was going to say you can instead of don't put up a wall, just get a shield.
Get a shield?
Arm yourself with a shield. Because then you can point it at the right object.
You can.
And
you can
then you don't have to block
slam
everything.
somebody with it too. You can just
and you're going to run into people with a shield. Yeah, absolutely.
I just boom.
I beat Elden Ring that way one time.
Yes.
Running into everything with a shield. It's great.
Yes. But yeah, Nyansai, you're so right. But really it's just that one person's fault, and it's difficult to avoid the same issue in the future. Absolutely. And and Baka, when in doubt, drop kick.
When in doubt, drop kick.
So great. But anyway, Sparrow, I'm sorry. If I'm coming across as mean or direct or whatever, I apologize.
I think you're fine.
I want to be comforting, but I also want to be honest. And sometimes the honest thing can be comforting, and sometimes it can sting. And I'm sorry if any of the things I've said have been stinging, but thank you. I'm glad that it's helping. But yeah, I don't know. I knew this old guy that I used to work with, and his motto. Now, he was married, and his motto was, "If man were meant to be married, he'd have been born that way."
Silly remark.
And I'm like, at the time, I'm like, oh, that's so wrong. And then I go through a divorce, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I see where he's coming from. I see. But here's the other thing, Sparrow. Imagine if you'd have stuck with her. Imagine where this could have led. And then imagine the blessing that you're out now before it got to all of that stuff. Because when someone is given over to lust, one of the main things that a lustful person does is use another person for their own advantage, pleasure, advancement, whatever, right? For their own feelings of whatever they want, they will use another person for that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the thing. We have to guard ourselves against that and not use another person for our own gain, right? We have to think in terms of that other person's heart. We have to think in terms of, how they might be feeling and, what all might be going on, and treat them as a human being and not treat them like an object. Lust objectifies.
Mm-hmm.
And here's another thing to watch out for. Watch out for feelings of vengeance. It's probably something, I know it's a natural thing for us to go through when, we're dealing with something like this, but because we want to get revenge, and we may not necessarily even want a revenge on that person, but just we want revenge on the world in general. We want revenge on romance. We want revenge on the opposite sex. We want revenge on God. We want revenge. And so we'll do things, we'll act out in order to get revenge, and then some innocent bystander becomes the object of our revenge. That's not treating them right. Not at all. But you're a human being, and you were betrayed, and you're not alone. People have been betraying others since the beginning of human existence. We've been hurting each other since the beginning of human existence. So while this particular situation that you're going through is unique to you, the overall, picture of what has happened to you is very, very common, and that's unfortunate. Because it happens. It happens all the time, and it's sad, but it does. And all it takes is for us to allow the temptation to win. And it doesn't even have to be the temptation to cheat at that point in time, but maybe it's just the temptation to indulge the thought. And we start thinking, we allow ourselves to think this way. We allow ourselves to go down this road. And then before you know it, we find ourselves in these crazy places where we never expected we'd be. But there we are. And things are a mess. And there's people hurt on both sides. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But you know what? The little bit of interaction I've had with you over the years, and the amount of time, we've played Minecraft together, we've been, you've been here at Don't Worry Wednesday, we've been back and forth in Discord, all this kind of stuff. I know you're a good person. I know you're a quality person.
Mm-hmm.
I know you didn't deserve to have this happen to you. And I hope that you can get through it quickly. I hope that you can grow and bounce back quickly. And I hope that you can experience healing quickly. But you will grow as a result of this. It's not a total waste to go through a painful experience.
Mm.
It feels like it. It feels like a waste. Aw.
That's
One
awesome,
thing that's
Scar.
kept me going was that song Grow that y'all made a while back. Well, thank you.
Good song.
It's okay. I'm glad that it's helpful. But again, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry because I know that this hurts. I know how much it hurts having been there. And I know it can like totally shake your world up, turn things upside down. You wonder what's real. You wonder what's not. You wonder like how did I go wrong? But I would go back and listen to what Ryan said over and over and over again because those words are so true. This wasn't your fault. This had nothing to do with you. You loved and you put yourself you let yourself be vulnerable, and that's really what love and romance and this kind of stuff is. It's being vulnerable. And when we put our hearts on the line and we allow somebody in, we are vulnerable. And it's not a waste, even if that person grabs your heart, smashes it, throws it on the table, beats it with a hammer, kicks it on the floor, slams it in the door, and then lights it on fire and does it's not a waste. It's not. Because that broken, battered heart can grow and become stronger. And not only stronger and more mature, but also more compassionate. Because before you've experienced something like this, you see it happen to other people and you may not give it a passing, you might not think, it's like, oh, well, whatever, that kind of stuff happens, whatever. But now that you've been through it, now you can offer compassion. You can offer love to that person who's going through it. When you experience them going through it, you can be helpful on a much deeper level than you ever could before, just because you know what it feels like.
Mm.
You know what it feels like to be in that pit, and it's hard. But you're going to climb out. You will. You will heal. It'll take time. Might take therapy. Definitely will take friends being around you. And that's what I would definitely do. I would definitely spend time with your friends. Spend time hanging out with people that love you, that you love. People that care about you and that have your best interests at heart, because when your trust gets shaken to this degree, you'll want to have people you can trust around you. And so do it. Anyway, I don't know. I could go on and on. It's a crummy situation, man, and I'm so sorry. But I'm gonna turn it back over to Ryan. Ryan, did you have anything else you wanted to say? Did you have anything you wanted to refute about what I said?
No, you did great. No, I would have nothing to review. I think you did awesome. And yeah, it is a well, first off, I do want to not first off, but I do want to say Sparrow, good job breaking it off that you kind of solved that before we even got to you, which is great. I'm proud of you. That takes it. It's hard, and I'm glad we don't have to walk you through that, because I mean, getting over it is a much more important thing than that, and you solve that problem, and that's awesome. It's not very easy. I know how hard that can be, and so way to go, man. And yeah, Joe was saying you put yourself in a position where you open yourself up to be vulnerable, and then someone hurts you in that vulnerability. And it reminds me of well, it reminds me a lot of the Bible. I don't know, I don't know if you're Christian or anything like that, but I mean, the beginning of the whole story is a love story, and the end of the story is a love story. The whole thing is basically kind of a weird. It's called the Divine Comedy in a way, but that's also the name of another book, or series. But anyhow, you have Adam and Eve in the Bible, and they start out and their love is perfect and pure, and then they betray each other. And in that, when they betray each other, they recognize that it's then that they recognize that they're naked. It's only once they've hurt each other they realized, oh, we need to clothe ourselves so that I can't be hurt anymore.
Mm.
But the problem is, once they clothe themselves, they're no longer their love is no longer pure and innocent. Their love is no longer without holding anything back, right? And that's an interesting thing that we all stumble into. You know, we love someone and then they hurt us, even if they don't want to. It
Mm-hmm.
happens.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, you want to put on clothes to guard yourself, because that's how you become safe, so that you can't be abused anymore, so you can't be used anymore, so that so that your vulnerable parts aren't being shown and with shame and all of that. And it's a horrible feeling, and it ruins love, unfortunately, because when we don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable anymore, we don't allow for true love to exist in our heart anymore as well. And so it's scary to say, oh, I want to be vulnerable. And that's, later
Mm-hmm.
in the Bible, we have Jesus who says, I will be vulnerable until I'm dead. And he literally dies naked. They strip him naked, put him on a cross, and hang him, let him die there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the story of the Bible in a way, with at least for Christians. And that's, when you love, you don't just love so long as it doesn't hurt, because that's what Adam and Eve did. And then they were the ones that brought sin into the rest of our lives forever, because they kind of ruined it for the rest of us. Um, kind of in a weird theological way. But the thing is, the lesson there, in a way, even for someone who's not religious at all, the lesson there is, you don't let your love be destroyed by the wickedness of the world. You don't stop allowing yourself to be vulnerable to the people that you know you can trust, right? Because there are friends that you say, I'm willing to die for.
Mm.
There's a type of love that says, I'm willing to take that on,
Mm-hmm.
however hard or difficult it will be. And that's what you decided when you entered probably into your relationship that you're in now, or that you were in recently, rather. You're willing to put yourself on the line and to be vulnerable. And in the end, you got crushed. But that doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. In fact, it means you did everything right, because you held out all the way up until the end, where you got crushed.
Mm.
And you stayed true. So in your next, what if you ever get into another romantic relationship again, or even just a friendship, um, don't, and I know we've touched on it quite a few times now, but don't fear love. And don't say, I will love so long as it doesn't hurt me. Because that's not true. That's not truly loving. That's not truly living. And so I just encourage you to stay you. Stay true to your feelings that you had before about love and investing in people. Don't let lust shake your world apart, because if you do, you'll be, I don't know, um, believing the lies, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Love and lust are enemies, right? Obviously. And so just because lust exists doesn't mean love isn't worth having around.
Mm.
And so, in fact, one of the things is that intimacy that you get at a friendship level or even on a romantic level, that intimacy of being vulnerable to someone and celebrating that together, being vulnerable in your friendship enough to talk about the deep things, talk about the things you need help in or the things they need help in, to be vulnerable enough to discuss sensitive topics. That's an intimate thing. And that intimacy, a lot of times, is what we're all seeking.
Mm.
And that intimacy, a lot of times, is where lust creeps in
Mm. Mm-hmm.
because we are missing something in our lives and we know that something's missing and we misunderstand it as I need something, I need this pleasure, I need this experience with this person. But when you go off and you do certain intimate acts with people that aren't the right people to do those intimate acts with, um, you don't actually end up fulfilling that role of intimacy. And so your mind just says, "Oh, that wasn't enough. I'll go maybe I just need to do it again because I didn't get enough intimacy last time and maybe I just, I'll try it again." Having people, having friends, having communication, having intimacy around you has been known to help um, reduce lust, lustful desires.
Mm.
So, in the case, obviously, this doesn't apply to you, Sparrow, but in the case that anyone else here is dealing with, um, you know, lustful thoughts, behaviors, etc., um, try to recognize that those lustful acts are like it's like saying, "I'm thirsty," and then going to grab your fifth cup of coffee,
I like coffee.
and it's actually dehydrating you. And it's not actually, it's giving you the sensation of you drinking, and you think it's hydrating you, but it's actually dehydrating you. And what you need to do is drink some water, something nice, refreshing.
But well,
Um,
coffee has water in it.
I know. I agree, Joe. I agree. I'm just saying. So yeah, intimacy can be a great help for anybody who, if if you're experiencing a need for intimacy, get true, pure intimacy, not mud water or coffee, even if coffee tastes great. So, anyways, those are just some thoughts on that. On the other side of that, just a little bit, but also for Sparrow to just keep your heart open. Don't let this destroy you. Let it build you, make you stronger, because you will be stronger from this if you journey through it. And you already are. And I'm proud of you, man. You're amazing. Way to go. You did good.
Mm-hmm.
You did good. You did a great job. You stayed true to the end. You did good. You did well. And you ought to be proud of yourself.
Yep.
You tried, and you tried hard. And I know that you did. And you did good. Way to go, man.
Mm-hmm.
I know generally people don't get applause for these things, but you deserve an applause. You deserve great things
Mm-hmm.
because you did good, man. You did it right. You should be proud of yourself. Don't let this destroy you. You're awesome and move forward.
And it's okay to be single.
Yeah. I'm not, yep, absolutely. It's okay to be single.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to be,
By no means, and I'm sorry, Ryan, but like
no, no, go on.
it doesn't mean
I mean, take
like
your
what
time with
Ryan
it.
is saying. Don't close yourself off from love. Doesn't mean go jump into a rebound relationship.
Oh, yeah, no, that's not what I was referring to. I
Right.
just meant intimacy, friendships, vulnerabilities in all sorts of different realms, including, with your parents, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly.
Hmm.
Yep. And it's so funny, like my therapist, she was trying so hard to fix the romantic thing, in my brain, like this aversion that I have to romance in general. Um, so like, but she was like, okay, I'll know that it's fixed when, whether you decide to pursue romance or not, you're just at peace with the whole idea. Like,
Mhm.
but because it's okay, and it's okay to be single, it's okay to be you, but that's the thing, like when you are finding yourself start to alter who you are for the whims of another person, that's a huge red flag, because that tells me that they don't love you for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Sparrow says, I'll still see her everywhere because we're neighbors and we go to the same school. LOL. But we just ignore each other, so it's pretty easy. No, yep, I understand how that can be. It can be a little bit awkward, but
Yeah.
that's kind of necessary. And it's okay to just, when you see that person, just look the other way, cross the street. You know, it's okay to take the mobster approach and say, hey, if you see me on the street, you cross the street. You go to the other side of the street. I don't want to see you on the same side of the sidewalk as me. Like, no.
And don't be like, hey, sup, cheat skeet.
Cheat ski? What?
Yeah, don't you know, don't do those things.
Yep. Yep. But hey, you know what? It's okay. It's going to be okay. It's painful now, but it's going to be all right. You're going to survive and you're going to be good. And when in doubt, drop
Turned
kick.
out drop kick.
Mm,
Gosh,
that's right, Baka.
that's great.
Yep. But
Wow,
anyway,
Baka learned that and he's a police officer. Well, he'll be the one. So
yep.
you can learn. You can take that for a matter of fact. When in
That's right.
doubt, drop
Drop
kick.
kick.
Yeah, will do, Baka. Oh
Oh, that's
no, we are
awesome.
not professional psychologists. Anything we say is for entertainment value only.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you,
Mm.
Sparrow. Um,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
get to
Sorry for
bed.
keeping you late.
No, you're good, man. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for bearing your heart to us and sharing this topic and allowing us to talk about it. Because, like I said, it's common. And there's
Hmm.
probably somebody that hears this that needs to hear it, that's going through something similar. And
Hmm.
it's tough, man. But life is tough. There's lots of tough stuff that happens, and this is just one of them. And but it's an experience that you'll be able to grow. You'll be able to grow through. So thank you, and thank
Hmm.
you for sharing. Thank you for the
Yeah,
topic, man. Because I love you, and
yeah.
you're gonna make it. So yes, thank you. With that, we can move on. What else do we got here?
Mm.
As far as topics. Um,
All right.
we got one about ice that is the other no preference topic.
I know. I was like, excuse me, what
Everything
is
else,
it?
everybody wants to be here, and I don't think anybody else is here. Oh, what meow? Are you here, meow Lido?
Meow went to sleep.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Um, that's an old one. That's from back in June. Choosing between names. Was that
Yeah,
topic? We've got another one from
yeah.
Jess,
He
but I
said,
think,
don't do it. Didn't
oh, he
matter.
said don't do it.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, because
he
he already
said,
picked.
yeah, and that was forever ago. And he picked like before we even got to it. We're like, okay, do you want to do this? And he's like, nah,
Oh, okay.
don't do it.
So we can we
So I
can
don't know. We
remove
should
that
probably
one.
just
Yeah.
remove it. Yeah.
All right. We've got some other stuff. We've got one from Jess. We've got one from Jamie, and we've got a couple from Yotsua, and all of them want to be here except for this one
We've,
from Yotsua about ice.
we've got one from Ronia.
We do?
Yeah. Oh,
Am I
you just
not
might have
seeing
to
it?
refresh here.
Am I
It's
not
on
seeing
mine.
it?
I uploaded it
Oh, there it is. Okay. Ronia.
during your
Ronia, are you
intro.
here?
Yeah. Oh, legally speaking, you're only medically trained. Well, when in doubt, dropkick is the medical answer
That's
to,
yes.
yeah. That's good. That's good. Now I know. It's like, oh man, I can't breathe straight. I don't know if my lungs are working. And also,
Drop
like, I just
kick.
got bad sinuses and my back hurts. Ah, why
Don't
don't
go
you
see the
try
doctor.
drop
Just
kick?
drop kick, man.
Yeah.
Yep. So, Ronia, are you here? Because it looks like we've got a good topic from you as well.
Man,
Um,
lots of people not here.
yep.
We got a lot of people here today, but none of them that are
You know,
ones with a
it's
preference for.
it's a transitory time. It was just
Yeah.
Labor Day here in the United States, and so school's getting started. There's all kinds of extracurriculars happening. There's all kinds of stuff, And a lot of times,
Hmm.
when things transition like this, people get stuff that fills up their lives, and so that's totally fine.
Oh, we have one from an hour ago. It's anonymous.
We do.
Yeah.
What is
Go to
the
the go to the other list
Go to the other
to be
list?
processed.
The to be processed list.
Would you be willing to just do it and we'll process it later?
Sure. Sure
Awesome.
thing. I don't know. Let me take the summary down. I don't.
Okay.
And we can put. I'll type up a summary when you're in your part. Okay. But
Okay.
what I can
That's
do. This
great.
is from anonymous, and so I can put this up on the screen, and we can do this topic. I don't even know what to call this because the first line is I don't really know how to ask something like this. Oh, it's about trying. Okay. So this is a topic about trying, and well, I'll just put it up on the screen, and I'll read it.
Hopefully it won't be trying.
Yeah, we're gonna try to do this topic on trying.
Yeah.
Actually, no,
Oh
we're not gonna
gosh.
try. We're
Okay.
just gonna do it. So anyway,
Yeah.
all right. So here it is, and this is from anonymous, and it's about trying. It goes as follows. I don't really know how to ask something like this, so I'll just ask. What is trying? How do you do it? How do you try at things? Just the trying part. I don't really know how that feels. I'm not talented yet. I have never had to try at anything. So I feel like I really missed that important experience. But when it comes down to it, I don't know what that feels like. I can't say I've ever tried at anything. Anything you feel like saying about it will be fine. Just whatever you feel like going on a tangent about. Thank you in advance. From Anonymous. And thank you for your permission to let us go on a tangent because we're good at
Yeah, thank
tangents.
you.
What is trying? What does it feel like to try? That's a really really good question because if you watch the old Star Wars movie, I'm a little bit of a Star Wars nerd. But Yoda says, I think it's in Empire Strikes Back. He says, because he's training Luke Skywalker, and he's like, okay, you need to do this, and then Luke Skywalker says, okay, I'll try, and then Yoda says, no, try not, do or do not. There is no try, except he said it like Yoda, right? And that was like the motto for the drum line my senior year of high school. Like do or do not. There is no try. Because really, sometimes trying, when we say we're going to try something, sometimes it's an excuse. I've definitely fallen into that where I've said, yeah, I'll try. And basically, what that means is I'm not going to, right? But there are also times when I have tried. I have done everything in my power. I've tried to move heaven and earth to get something accomplished. And maybe I've succeeded and maybe I've failed, but I left it all. I did the absolute best I possibly knew how. And I worked as hard as I could. And I did try. And I think probably that might be what you're getting at is like when something doesn't work out the way that we wanted it to, but we did give it our best effort, then we can say that we tried. Right? But a lot of times when I say, hey, I'll try to do something, that just means that I'm not expecting to be able to do this, but, I might put forth a little bit of effort, just to show that I tried it, whatever. There are things that are worth trying and things that are not worth trying. So, anyway, you did say in your topic, Anonymous, I'm not talented yet. I've never had to try at anything. Or maybe it's I'm not talented yet. I've never had to try at anything. So maybe, see, if you can just do something naturally and you don't have to try, that, in my opinion, is talent, right? Or it's maybe the beginnings of talent. But really, in my opinion, if you're going to take a talent and turn it into a skill, it's going to require you to try. You're going to have to put forth some effort, right? And so I guess really what trying is putting forth effort. You put forth as much effort as you can devote, as much attention as you can devote to it, whatever. And you work. And you try. You give it your best. And that is what gives birth to skill, in my opinion. When you do something, when you try it, when you work at it, and I guess the question is, what's the difference between trying and doing? I don't know, because that line gets a little bit blurry.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan here and hear what he has to say. So, Ryan?
Sure, I'll give it my best.
Take it away, buddy. You'll
Immediate
try?
thing that
You're going to try?
yeah, I'll try.
All right, good.
I'll try. The immediate thing that I thought about was just the word try. To try is such a convoluted word, because just like Joe was saying, there's try, as in people say don't try, do, because they assume that when you say try, they mean you're not going to do it. Or that you're not going to give it its effort, just like Baka was saying in the chat, as well as Myanglios. And that's not... What's weird is I don't really use try that way myself. Like when I say I'll try something, yeah, it might mean I'm going to give it an attempt, but I can't guarantee any results, right? I might say I'll try to make that happen. And in that case, it might be like, we'll see if it fits in the schedule. But then there's also like, I'm trying really hard. It means that you're doing something. So try, the problem is that the word is so convoluted. It's so hard to get an understanding. So when you're asking this, all I can glean is that what you mean is kind of what Joe was saying, that you mean when you are practicing or you are learning, you are trying through trial and error. And perhaps the word trial is similar to the word try in the fact that try is an act of trial. And perhaps there's an etymology there. You could look that up. I would be happy if someone confirmed that. But when you are trying for something, you're wondering how that feels. Sometimes it feels very frustrating. Sometimes it feels like a chore. Sometimes it feels exhilarating. Sometimes it's just exciting. Sometimes it feels like you're living the life. Trying can feel like really anything, but I can tell you this. When you've tried, at the end of the day, and you know you've tried, it generally feels good. Even if you failed, if you can recognize, I put my heart into that, I tried hard, the feeling that you get usually at the end of the day of that is, I feel good. Even if I feel frustrated, even if I'm upset, like, I didn't complete it, I was close, it didn't work out like I wanted it to, you still have this feeling of a certainty of proudness,
Hmm.
a certainty of self, um, um, assurance of self, a certain degree of assurance of self, knowing that you tried, you know that you tried, and you did well at doing that. And that's kind of how I feel about trying. So, what does it feel like to try? It can be an amalgamation of feelings, lots of feelings at once, or random feelings, not random, but just completely different feelings from each other. But usually at the end of the day, once you're finished trying, you can look back and say, how hard did I try? And if you know you tried hard, it feels good. And if you know you didn't try very hard at all and you didn't put in much of an effort, it kind of feels bad. So, um, I think that's really my answer to this. Unfortunately, I can't give it too much length, but I'm gonna just step aside and end there. That's kind of my answer to that. I hope that's helpful.
Step
I
aside
do
from your
agree with a lot of
ride.
things Joe said. Yeah, a lot of things Joe said were great. You know, with talent and skill, and I second all of it. So, anyways, I'm gonna give it back over to Joe. See if he's got anything he wants to add.
I don't know. I mean, maybe because it's tough. We've got some definitions. We've got a few things in the chat here. Um, let's see. Wolfrix says something I've
That's
learned.
great. Yeah.
Welcome, Wolfrix. It's nice to see you.
Mm-hmm.
Something I've learned. Dreamer is someone who dreams of greatness. A doer is someone who gives their best at something to succeed their dreams. So to be successful is to be both.
Mm.
And I would agree, like to just dream and think about, how great it would be to do something. I mean, that we kind of have to do that in order to give us the motivation to try something, but it can't stop at just thinking about it, right? We have to go put forth some effort. And that effort is trying. We can call it trying or we can call it working, right? There's not very much that I try at anymore. I work at stuff. And
Mm.
sometimes I succeed and sometimes I fail. A lot of times, like, to try something in my mind, when I gave you that Yoda quote, was basically like, okay, if I'm going to say I'm going to try something, it just means that I'm not going to give full effort. I'm just going to give it a try. And I'm not going to really believe that it's going to happen, but I'm just going to make it look to the world and to myself like I tried. Right. And so it's kind of like fake
Mhm.
in a way. Right. But
Sure.
Mianglios has in the chat the definitions of the word try: to make an attempt or effort to do something, or a noun, the effort itself to accomplish something, an attempt, right? So it's either a verb or a noun, whatever you want to, however you contextualize it. But yeah, like that's absolutely true. You're trying to try is to work at it, to put forth an effort. And Anonymous, if you've gone your whole life, I don't know how old you are, but if you've gone your whole life and not made any effort toward anything, maybe the definition of try is not there for or whatever. Because, all of us have learned to talk. We put forth effort to learn to talk. You put forth effort to learn the language enough to write out this message, right? So you've tried, you've put forth effort on things. And we all do. And sometimes, we put forth more or less than others. Sometimes we just are naturally skilled or talented at stuff. And so it just comes naturally to us and we're just fine. Like you know, some people have to work and work and work and work to get really good. Now, here's the thing: drums kind of came natural to me. I'm a drummer. I'm a percussionist. That's what I majored in college, right? But there came a point when just my initial, you know, savantness or whatever, the initial talent level of, coming in, it wasn't going to be enough. I was going to have to put forth a lot of effort, and I would practice and practice and practice and practice for hours. And I tried and I tried and I tried and I tried. And sometimes I made it and sometimes I didn't. I'll give you a few examples. Both from my senior year in high school. One, I was on the swim team in high school. I was in the swim team all 4 years of high school. My senior year, I was one of the swim captains. I was not the best swimmer on the team by any stretch of the imagination. I was not, there were freshmen and sophomores that were faster than me, and I was a senior, but I was still captain. I was still in that kind of leadership role because I'd been on the team and I knew how the meets went, and I knew, I knew how to encourage the team. But here was the other thing I knew how to do, and that was work. I knew how to work. And so that was like, in my mind, I'm going to leave it all out on the table or in the pool or whatever. Like, I'm just going to work my butt off this year, and I'm going to make something happen. I'm going to do the best I can. I ended up 4th in the conference in the 500 freestyle. I ended up 11th in the conference in the, 200 freestyle. I ended up on the, winning in one of the relays that I was in, so there was some stuff. I made a contribution. But here was the thing. When the awards ceremony came, I got the 110% award. That was the person, because everybody knew it. Everybody saw me at practice. The coach saw me at practice. Now, these awards were voted on by the other swimmers on the team. Voted for these awards. And so they saw me in the pool, and they knew that I worked my butt off, and they gave me that award at the end of the year. So I can say that I tried. I can say that I put forth a lot of effort, right? And even though I wasn't the champion or anything like that, I wasn't first place in the conference, there were races that I won and races that I didn't win and whatever, right? But I still got recognized as the person that tried really hard. Another time, that same year, I decided I was going to try to do drum and bugle corps. I was percussionist. I was planning on going to Michigan State University and marching in their drum line. And I knew that was an elite group of drummers that you don't just get there without working your guts out to get there. It's one of the best collegiate drum lines in the country. It's made up basically the snare drum line at Michigan State is made up of center snare, which is the first chair snare drummers in various drum and bugle corps around the United States. We had center snare from the Cavaliers, center snare from Santa Clara Vanguard, center snare from, I can't even remember them all. The name escapes me. So what I decided I would do is I would do drum and bugle corps. I had never done it before. I had no idea anything about it. I just knew that it existed and that it was something I needed to do if I wanted to develop the skills necessary to be a part of the drum line that I wanted to be a part of. And so I did it. And there was this little drum corps called Northern Aurora. It was based out of Saginaw, Michigan, and I'm from the Lansing area in Michigan, so it was about an hour drive to get there. And I remember working, and I remember practicing and never, I really, really wanted to make snare drum. I didn't make snare drum. I ended up bass drum. And it's funny, I ended up bass drum at Michigan State as well, which was fine because I was still part of the drum line, right? Like I was still there. Even though I wasn't a snare drummer, which was what I really, really wanted to do, I ended up being a bass drummer, and that's totally fine. But I still counted it as a failure because I didn't make snare. I really, really, really wanted to be a snare drummer. And I wasn't. But I tried. I remember I can look back on that time of my life and I can be like, you know what? I did everything I possibly could with the amount of skill I had, with the amount of time I had, with the amount of focus that I had. I I gave it everything, and I still didn't make it. I still didn't hit the goal. I've experienced that in my adult life too, in business and different ventures and all kinds of different things where I've tried something and I've succeeded, or I've tried something and I've failed. And I think the main um I, I don't know. The main difference is how much focus do you give it and how much effort do you put in? Because if you feel like, Anonymous, that you've never really tried at something, maybe it's just you haven't found something worth enough in your mind to put that much focus and effort into. Maybe that's it. And so maybe, I don't know, some of our personalities are more apt to doing that than others. I don't know. Ryan's one of the more laid back personalities, but I've seen him try really hard at stuff. I've seen him get an idea in his head. I've seen him get an idea for where he wants to be, and I've seen him work his butt off. And it's awesome, right? So I think what it takes, Wolfrix said it in early on, something I've learned, a dreamer is someone who dreams of greatness. Maybe it starts there for you, Anonymous. Maybe what you really need, if you want to learn what it's like to really try, maybe what you need is a dream. You need a goal. You need a vision of something that you want to achieve, something that you want to get. I'm watching my son. He wants to be a YouTuber. He's great. He's going to be great at it too, because he's got this personality. He's loud and he's fun to watch, and he's expressive and he's emotional and he's got all this stuff, and he'd be so great. And I'm watching him develop his skills on the times when he's at my house, and it's great. But he has a goal, he has a dream, he has something he wants to accomplish, and he's excited about it, and he works. He works at it. What is working at it? Well, no, it depends. Some people wouldn't call it work because he's playing video games and recording himself on video doing it, right? But that's work. It might be fun work, but it's work. There's more stuff in the chat. Kendra says, in school, I would try very hard all the time to study. I would put in so much effort to try and do good on the test, but I would fall short. It was disappointing. Then I found out after a few years I had ADHD. It wasn't that I wasn't trying hard enough. It was just, I didn't find the right way to study at the time. Absolutely. That, those things creep into our lives. And, like something like ADHD, which my therapist is telling me that I'm a fairly mild to moderate case of ADHD, but there are ways to deal with it as an adult and how to cope with it. And she's sending me all these resources, because one of the things about ADHD is you don't want to lose the creative power that an ADHD person has.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the medications will kill that.
Mm-hmm.
They'll get you to focus on the thing at hand, the task at hand, and make you all great for society. But then you lose a lot of that creativity, right? And so there are different ways to manage ADHD without the medications. Now, sometimes medication is necessary, depending on how severe the case is. That's something to work out between you and your doctor, for sure. But Kendra says, I found out when I was 23 that I had ADHD. Makes so much sense now that when I look back. It's amazing how hindsight can be that way, isn't it? It's pretty wild. Wolfric says, people use the word try to make it sound more motivational than using the word work. Yep. You're right. Because why is it that we have this, aversion to work? It just sounds like drudgery or whatever, right? Like, but I think it was Henry Ford who said something to the effect of, like, success. Most people don't pursue success because it shows up dressed in overalls and looks like work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so true.
Fair enough.
Because hey, Ryan and I we're musicians, right? It's basically that's what we do for a lot of our time, for our jobs, and that's work. There's a lot of work involved with that, right? It ain't just playing. I mean, there's playing involved. There's practicing and performing and all this kind of stuff, right? But there's a lot of work involved too. And that in and of itself is work. There are times when I'm practicing and I'm trying to get this part down and I just cannot do it. And I'm working and I'm
Mm,
working and I'm working and I'm working and I'm
mm.
working at it. I'm working at it. I'm like, how can I fake this in a recording? Like, how can I put this together
Yeah.
so I can get
Yeah.
this sound I want, but not have to perform it. And then I'm like, no, there's not. I gotta at least perform this a little bit, right? Like, I gotta figure out, I gotta
Yeah.
figure out how to do
Yeah.
this, right? Um,
Hmm.
Wolfric says you're using music words that I don't understand, but I get the gist. Hey, sorry. Um, I don't know what words I was using, but anyway, um, I'm glad you got the point. The point is, you know, to try is to put forth an effort. And Anonymous, I know you've put forth an effort at things. Maybe you just don't feel like you've had to work hard at much yet. But man, there's a whole world of things out there that you can learn to do, that you can try and figure out. And, one of these days, and it might just come just out of nowhere, something might spark in your brain and you'll be like, you know what? I want to do this. I want to weave a basket. I want to make a hacky sack.
Yeah.
I want to, who knows? Who knows what it is?
Mm.
But it's gonna burn into your brain and it's gonna be like, I want that. I want to do that. And I see other people doing it, so it's possible. And you might have to go against the grain a little bit. You might have, people close to you saying, oh, that's stupid, or that's not gonna work, or that's not real, or blah, 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 blah. But you look around the world and you see other people that are doing it, and you're like, why can't I do it? Well, maybe you can. But you know what? You might have to put forth the effort to learn it and to get good at it. And that's going to involve trying. So I don't know. Hopefully that makes some sense. I'm going to turn it back over to Ryan. Ryan, did any of that, like, am I making sense here? Or am I just like
Yeah, you made great sense.
speaking
I don't
nonsense?
honestly, I think you added so much to the conversation. It was perfect. Uh, and also, Trigger Rich says this was all very helpful. So they outed themselves as the anonymous. I
Ah,
have a
gotcha.
better grasp of it all. I guess I asked this because I never had that feeling of accomplishment when I completed something. Most of it was things I had to do. I will search for a dream and see what happens. Might have to pick a random direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's
Whoops.
great.
What's the whoops? Whoops that you
Oh, because they
got.
outed themselves.
Oh, oh, oh.
Totally
I
fine.
gotcha.
It's totally fine. Yeah, I think that's great. For me, I'll say this. Growing up, I didn't have to work very hard to get decent grades.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do my homework because I didn't care about it. I didn't even try it. When I was in high school, I stopped doing my homework entirely, and I still passed all of my tests with a high enough score and turned in a little bit of homework that I was able to do during class
Mm.
that I passed every one of my classes. I didn't fail a single class, which was pretty impressive. Um, so I didn't have to try hard because I didn't care about those things, and I, I knew my life was going to be fine. And so, but certain things I did try at, like I was inspired to play the piano because it
Mm.
was enjoyable to me and it was fun, and I was able to be creative in that, and to be innovative and make new things that had never been in the world before, and that inspired me, and that caused me to work at the piano, and I would work playing like crazy fast, like all sorts of different arpeggios and all sorts of different things, and getting really fast at playing, and for hours straight. Um, and that was awesome. That was a lot of fun. And I stuck at that for, I remember there was like a whole 2-month period where I would just like every day almost, I'd sit down at the piano and just, you know, speed through a bunch of things and play or make things up, like what sounds good. And a lot of that was me just sitting at the piano, like, I want to make things that sound good.
Mm.
What is that like? How do I
Mhm.
do that? And then that was a progression of trying things until I figured out, oh, these things sound good together, blah, blah, blah. So trying can be a lot of fun. Trying can be just built off of, hey, I want to do this. Or, your dreams can be built off of those things. For me, I had no intention of being a musician when I grew up. I had no intention to being anything when I grew up. I thought maybe I would be a therapist, but um, ended up having a conversation with Joe about how we can make a difference in the world because music can subconsciously affect how people think.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of bad stuff out there that's, you know, not great. And then there's potentially us who could maybe make something for the world for people to brains to feast on that actually uplifts them and moves them forward in life and gives them encouraging words. And, you know, um, that idea uh, changed me
Mm.
in a way. It was just like, boom, I have a path now for my life. I have a place I know I can run. And so, um, sometimes it just happens like that. Most of the time it doesn't, but sometimes that's how it goes. And so, you know, it's been awesome. It's been a fun, wild ride, and a lot of it's based off of what do I want to do with this life that I've been given? It's a gift. And
Mhm.
what kind of gift am I going to give to others with it? And my brother said that a purpose is like a dream that's bigger than your own life.
Mm.
You
Mhm.
know, when you find purpose, it's like it's something that you dream about, something that you dream of, but it's not just you that's included in that dream. It's something that is a gift to the world, and that's a purpose. And I think that we all desire purpose, and when we find that purpose, um, it makes itself a path for us in life. It's something that we have to try at and try to make work, and it's not going to come easy,
Mm.
but it's something that we work through and work forward in. And a lot of times people say, well, I never found my purpose, I never, blah blah blah. But purpose is in the small things a lot of times. It's in the small things, like, you know you don't really call this small, but moms, for example, raising their kids. I mean, that's I mean, maybe it's not a dream, but it's certainly it is a dream, because you look at your kids and you say, I want the best for them. Same with dads. Yeah, I want the best for them, and I want them to grow up and be, successful, or, I want them to do what they love. I want them to enjoy life. And you are a part of bringing that and ushering that into their lives, that joy, that love. And so that's like a dream. Even though no one considers that a dream. Oh, what's your dream? Oh, to, bring a bunch of kids into the world. No one really says that, except for maybe my brother's wife. Um,
Yeah. They're succeeding.
they are succeeding at that dream.
Yes.
But yeah. Anyways, my point is, yeah, spend some time dream building. And what is dream building? It's looking at things that inspire you, or listening to things that inspire you. Um, whether it be a speaker on stage, or looking at houses online that maybe one day you could afford, or looking at cars, or looking at, you know, um, like, let's say you enjoy tennis and you look at some houses that have tennis courts on them and you're like, oh, that would be so cool. Or maybe you find yourself enjoying swimming and you think about, oh, that would be really cool to have, like, a swimming pool in my house or something. You know, dream build. And it's not a one-time thing. Dream building is a weekly thing, or maybe even a daily thing at best.
Mm.
And you can dream build and you can inspire yourself. And that inspiration, it turns into a talent, if you will. It turns into something that you become more and more readily willing to try things, more and more readily willing to dream, willing to grasp onto things that go, wow, that would be really cool to be able to do that. Or maybe it's about other people. Maybe you see yourself, flying down to Africa and helping some people in need. Maybe that touches your heart. Whatever it is. Maybe it's helping the people around you. You like to see them smiles on their faces. Maybe that's a dream of yours. You think, well, how can I add more smiles to people's faces? Because that's something that touches my heart in a special way.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will experience that. So, dream build, yeah, absolutely. Think about what gets you. What touches your heart in a special way, and you might be, it might be hard to notice at first, and that's why dream building is important, because if you're not in tune with yourself, not in tune with what you're feeling, your emotions, you don't know what you're feeling because it's not very strong feeling, and you don't know what you're experiencing, you don't know yourself very well. This is a good way to start to learn about yourself, and also a good way to start to notice, to be able to notice what makes you tick. Because a lot of times we don't know what makes us tick. We're born into this world unaware of ourselves. We aren't born into this world going, "Oh, I know what personality I am. I know, how I function." We learn everything about ourselves throughout this journey. So taking time to learn about yourself is incredibly important, because you're the one controlling yourself. And you'd think you'd want to know how a machine works. Like if you got a car, you don't just go like, I don't know how this thing works, and then jump in and try to drive. I mean, you do try to drive, as in like you learn, but you don't go like, oh, I don't have a clue about road signals. I don't have a clue about anything. I don't know how this machine works. I'm just gonna go in and go right into traffic. It's you're not gonna get far. I mean, you're not gonna get anywhere to begin with, because you don't even know how to turn the car on, right? If you literally know nothing. So you can't make the machine work how it's meant to be unless you. So you're not able to make the machine work how it's meant to be used unless you know how to use the machine properly, right? It's same with tools, right? So it's the same with yourself. Take time to learn what inspires you, what makes your heart feel, special inside, what makes your heart move when you see it. Maybe it's people who are in need, people who are hurting. Maybe that makes your heart move. Or maybe it's people who have smiles on their faces, or whatever. Whatever it is, whatever makes your heart move, pay
Mm-hmm.
attention to those things,
Mm-hmm.
and move forward from there, because it's really important. Yeah, that's what I
Mm-hmm.
got.
Yeah.
Back to you, Joe.
Well, thank you, Ryan, and thank you, Trigger Rich.
Yeah.
Yeah, time to adventure. I like that too. I like, these things can be a grand adventure, and it's funny because like I was saying earlier in the show, I've wrestled a lot with existence and life in general and everything like that, and sometimes it just doesn't matter. We might not necessarily always know the purpose, of what this is all about, but it doesn't change the fact that there's a lot of adventure to be had. There's a lot of options for us to experience things. There's a lot of things we can learn and try and experience successes and failures. There's nothing in the world like working your tuchus off. Your tuchus is your rear end, right? Your butt, right? You work really, really,
Mm.
really hard, and to finish and succeed at something, and to start to and to see the fruits of it. I'll never ever forget the first project that Ryan and I worked on together, and it took like 9 months to give birth to this thing. It's just like a human, right? Like
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow.
So but we worked on this music project together, and I'll never forget the first time it was going to be played, and we walked into this arena and our stuff was playing over the loudspeakers in this arena, and it was just overwhelming. The feeling, like I wanted to barf and pee my pants and hide and cry, and it was just like this emotional thing, right? But we had worked so hard, and we had to overcome so many obstacles, and there were so many different things it took in the planning and the collaborating and then the music creation and everything. that it took to do that project. And I ended up losing my house in the process. And there was so much that was happening. And then we finally got to that point, and it was just such an emotional experience, at least for me. When that released and when that finally was finished, it was so big. And then there's also no other experience in the world like when you try and try and try and work and work and work and you fail.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, like, both experiences,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't
There's nothing like
trade
both of them. Yeah.
for the world.
Mhm.
Yes, with Defeating My Sorrows. Yep, that was the album with Defeating My Sorrows.
Yeah. Dang.
Mianglios, you know your BSS lore,
Yeah.
man.
Oh my gosh. That's right.
But yeah, it was hugely like, but when you lay it all out because you see something and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to try this, I'm going to do it. And then you get into it and it's not anything like you expect it's going to be. Like the journey usually is different than what you think it's going to be, right? When you actually get into the
Mm-hmm.
journey, it's
Always.
like, doesn't seem like it was going to be like this. It might be better, might be worse, might just be different, whatever.
Yep.
But then you're in it and you're doing it. And then when you finally finish and you're done and it gets put in whatever, and it either succeeds or it fails, there's nothing like that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I would encourage you to find something to chase so you can experience that feeling. Whether you succeed or fail, whether you experience the high and the joy of seeing it come to fruition, or whether you experience the disappointment of it not. Either way, it's moving. And it's rich with emotion and it's rich with intensity, and it's beautiful. So, yeah, I don't know. I encourage you, do what Ryan was just saying. Look around. Look around for stuff. Look around for stuff. Something that might get your blood pumping a little bit. Something that might make you feel a
Mm-hmm.
little bit intrigued or a little bit interested. And it doesn't have to make much sense to the rest of the world. It just has to be something that's a clear motivator.
Yeah.
And then you can experience that trying. You can experience
Mm-hmm.
that effort. You can experience that level of living. Because
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
honestly,
it feels like you're living.
mm-hmm, the times in my life I've felt most alive are when I've seen something I wanted to accomplish and I was working toward that accomplishment and I had my eyes set on that prize and I was running after it. Those are the times when I've felt the most alive. And then you get there and it's not, and then you're just like, well, whatever, and it's like I got there. Um, you have the emotional experience of the success or the failure, or whatever, right? You get to the end of it, and
Mm-hmm.
the end of it is kind of anticlimactic in a lot of ways. The real living takes place in the pursuit.
Absolutely.
And so I've heard it said, don't hit a goal without setting another one.
Mm.
Because if you hit a goal and you reach the end of a pursuit without having another pursuit lined up, then it'll take longer to get your head cranked back up again, right? And to be in pursuit again. So, I don't know. Hopefully, some of that makes some sense. Um,
Yeah. I have
st-
one.
Story time with Ryan and Joe.
Yeah. I have one last little thing, and it's right along the same vein that Joe was saying. When you find that thing that maybe energizes you or intrigues you or moves your heart, ask why. Of course, pursue it. Of course, look into it. Of course, try to, you know, maybe if it's like something like fishing, yeah, go for it. But I want you to ask yourself, why? Why does this tug at my heart in this way? Why does that make me feel this way? What about it makes me feel that way? And you might not know the answer, but the important part is that you ask why and you keep that log in your head so that the next time you find something that makes you go, oh, this is another thing, and you ask why about that,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you'll discover something deep inside you that will help connect dots to go, I know what I'm about. Because all of these things that I enjoy, they have this in common, and that really strikes a chord with me. I feel it.
Mm-hmm.
When I say this word, I'm just like, yeah, that's me.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I want to encourage you to do is ask yourself why. When you find these things that inspire you, that move you, ask why they're moving you, what it is that makes them move you. And also, even for things that don't, if something doesn't move you, it's okay to ask yourself why. What about it? Because that can also help steer you in the direction of going, okay, well, it's not there. It's not these things associated with this. I'm going to move past. I'm just going to kind of block those things out while I'm searching for my dream. And so, yeah, I encourage you, as my last little bit here, to
Mm-hmm.
ask why. Dig into it. Don't just go, oh, I like fishing. Why? I just like fishing. And just, it's nice.
My favorite part of
It's like,
fishing
that's
is the
great.
smell of the fish when I'm gutting them
Hmm.
on the thing at the end of the day. I'm kidding.
That's great. Reminds me of my childhood. We
Right.
had a lot of fish. Yeah. No, it's important to ask why, what it is that's making your heart move, making your heart tick, and then catalog that away if you find an answer or if you don't,
Mhm.
because that's how you move forward the best, I think, in these kinds of realms, to really get yourself centered into a position where you're like, you can find something that you know is worth trying
Mhm.
for you, something worth dreaming about. So anyways, yeah,
That's perfect.
thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you very much, Triggerich, formerly known
Mm-hmm.
as Anonymous. Um,
That's right.
yes, thank you for that topic. That was great. And
Thank you so much. Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm glad it was helpful. I'm so glad. Um, and what Ryan said is so spot on. Ask why. The better you can get at asking yourself why, the deeper you're gonna dig. The digger you're gonna deep
Yeah,
into
the
that
digger
thing.
you're gonna deep. The digger you're gonna deep. I mean, quite honestly, that's true. Always true. The digger
It's
you're gonna deep.
the digger you're gonna deep. Yep, that's right.
Just rolls off the tongue.
It does. The deeper you're gonna dig, it doesn't feel as good to say that.
Yeah, the
Feels
digger
better
you're
to
gonna
say the
dig is
digger
not.
you're gonna deep. The digger you're gonna
Yeah, the
deep.
digger you're gonna deep. Oh man, the digger you're gonna deep. It's just like D D D D G
Digga 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 digga
feeling.
digga digga
Yeah, digga digga
digga.
digga. Oh, that's why, because I was in
Yeah,
band.
that's
Digga digga
right.
digga digga.
And so you're used to that double tonguing thing, right? Digga 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 digga.
Uh-huh, that's it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
There was
you're
a
right.
there was a percussion duet I played one time called Digga 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 Diggat.
Oh man.
Deega Deega Deega. Digga 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 digga
No.
digga 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 diggat. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. I don't remember how many
Oof.
digas there were in there. There was a lot. It was like like lines and lines of digas.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fun. Maybe
That's
it was
fun.
maybe it was Digga. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Um, Either way, thank you for the topic. Thank you guys for being here with us on Don't Worry
Yeah.
Wednesday. We hope that we've been helpful. We hope that it's been fun. We've definitely had a good time being here. If you have a topic, feel free to go to don'tworrywednesday.com. I can actually put the link in the chat here for you again. Go there. It should be any questions, not New York questions. It could be any. Um, yep. Go to
New York
don'tworrywednesday.com.
questions. That's great.
Yes. Any questions or worries or whatever. If you want us to talk about stuff, go to don'tworrywednesday.com, click the submit a topic button. Again, we're not professional therapists or attorneys or counselors or anything. We just love you guys and we want to help. And we love hanging out with you on Wednesdays. It's so great. So anyway, thank you. Why are apartments so expensive? Because inflation.
Yeah.
Sorry.
People fight over them. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Supply and demand.
Why is housing in general so expensive right now? I have a cousin who's a realtor. Is definitely a seller's market right now. If you're gonna go buy a house, apparently you should be expecting to pay about 25% more than what they're asking.
Man.
Just in order to end up getting it, because people are gonna up, there's so many more buyers than sellers. Anyway, yeah, they're expensive. And I'm sorry.
Yeah, I second what Miankleo said. This was an awesome topic. Trigger rich. Wow. Glad that it was helpful for you. Yeah. Indeed. Thank you so much.
That's dumb. I'm assuming you're talking about the prices of things. Yes. It's definitely, there's a lot of shadiness out there when it comes to finance. That's a whole nother topic. I don't know if that's a Don't Worry Wednesday topic. That's a whole nother show, actually, like that we could have.
Finance is Friday.
Finance is Friday. Oh my gosh. We need your brother.
Finance Fridays. Yeah. I would not be on the show. I would ban myself. Finance Fridays. I'd just be like, don't buy things. That's how you have money. You don't buy things. And that's what I know.
Yeah. Because do you really
don't buy things, you'll have money.
Because do you really need it?
Yeah, really. That's
what do you actually need? What do you actually need?
Yeah.
No Finance Monday. Yeah, Joe Bohan, absolutely. He'd definitely be good. We could have
he should be on here.
It would be interesting to see Joe and Kyle do a show.
I know, that's what I was just thinking. A Joe and Kyle show.
Because they're both very matter-of-factly and calm.
They are.
Like it would, yeah.
They are completely different people, though.
They are.
Completely. But
yep. They're both very logical.
Yeah.
Yep. Both very, very logical, very calm, unemotional when it comes to these matters, which makes them great finance people, because financial problems come from emotional decisions.
Yeah. Don't be an emotional buyer.
Yep.
Anyways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, we love you guys. Thank you for being here on Don't Worry Wednesday. Come back next. Do they know each other? Absolutely they do. In fact, they were the first. They met. They were the first.
They met
people
each
to
other
meet in
before
person. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It took me years to meet Joe B in person, but yeah.
I still haven't met Joe B in person.
Wow.
I know. It's crazy.
What's wrong with you?
So weird.
What's wrong?
I know, right? Well, there's something wrong with
you. Better come back. You better come back. It's got to happen in a week. It better happen.
Oh wow, wow! I'm gonna have to fly to America, or have Joe fly to Australia. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. You guys can meet in the middle, the ocean.
Yeah, right in the ocean. Maybe the Samoa Islands.
Kiribati.
Or if I'm lucky, Kiribati.
Kiribati. All right.
Kiribati. I hope so.
Nice. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for being here again. And we love you guys and can't wait to see you next Wednesday on Don't Worry Wednesday. Until then, have a wonderful, wonderful life. And we love you. So take care.
Yeah. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Peace.